Okay, two most important things you want to put down in your notes about publishing. These are the two most important things. Number one, market value. Number two, saturation publishing. Saturation publishing.
Mark, is that market value or market?
Market value and saturation publishing. These are the two things that you have to keep paramount in your mind at all times about publishing. These are the two most important things to you as authors. Again, market value and saturation publishing. Those are the two most important things to keep in mind at all times. Now, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about my experience with publishing. When I first started teaching, I didn't really think that publishing was essential for you to be a successful author, because there are so many significant byproducts from writing a book that I didn't think that you really had to publish to fulfill your responsibilities as an author and to be successful as an author. Okay? As time has gone on, over the last 3 years especially, I feel it's absolutely essential to publish. I feel that what I'm seeing coming through the authors I work with are very significant messages that, to me, like as a book whisperer, are dying to be released into the world. I also see my authors not receiving the level of peace that they seek until their books are actually released in finished versions to be disseminated throughout the world. So my viewpoints change significantly. Let me give you a cheap and fast little lesson about publishing industry and the history of it, so you know where it stands. Now, it's a little depressing when I start, so hang with me because it does get better. Because there's never been a better time to be a potentially published author than right now. However, the history of publishing goes pretty much like this. Up until the mid-90s, book publishing was run by well-to-do families who owned publishing houses for basically two reasons. Number one, to influence society. Number two, to create a greater awareness of their family name. In most cases, the well-to-do families that own these publishing houses had several streams of income. So they didn't need to make a lot of money from their book publishing houses to be able to subsidize their necessary incomes. As a result, they would hire CEOs to run their companies. And they give these CEOs carte blanche. Hey, whatever, Bob, you want to do with this publishing house is fine. You know publishing much better than I. These CEOs then would pass along the same carte blanche to their editors. And editors had to live within a budget, but under the realm of the budget, they could literally do anything they wanted. They could publish any type of books that they wanted. And editors, back then, were also responsible for discovering and bringing along new writing talent. 35% of their job was basically devoted to finding new writing talent and bringing it along. That was their job. So, it wasn't unusual back then for an editor to offer a first-time writer such as you the opportunity to have a multi-book deal. In other words, Tom, you know, right now you're an unproven author, but we see the ability for you to really blossom and grow significantly over the years. So what we're going to do is we're going to offer you a 5-book deal. We want 5 books out of you in the next 5 years. Now we will assume that the first 2 to 3 books, we're probably going to lose money until we bring your name to prominence. But book 3, 4, or 5, you're going to hit it big, and well, that's where we'll make our money together. So that was not unusual. There was a big change that happened, though, in book publishing about 1995. The publishing industry was taken over by Fortune 500 companies whose top priority is to do what? Make money. That's all they cared about. They initially established, informally, but initially established what is referred to, what I refer to as the 90-10 rule. Basically what that equates to is the top 10% of the authors that they take on, they do a tremendous job publishing and promoting your book because they give you so much money. Normally to get the top 10%, you're going to need to acquire a minimum of a $350,000 advance from them. In other words, you have to take so much money from them that they have to do a good job to get their money back. Well, what happens to the other 90%? They literally do nothing. They literally do nothing to publish or promote your book very well. How many of you have noticed over the last 10 years that books have had progressively more and more typos and grammatical errors than ever before? Okay, now let me ask you this question. And I need to turn your head around, your thinking around about how publishers look at publishing as opposed to how you think they look at it. When you see a typographical or grammatical error in a book, who do you think poorly of?
The author.
The author in most cases. You think, oh, this guy can't even spell. So you think poorly of the author. So the way publishers think, again, because they're trying to conserve as much money as possible by keeping their bottom line down as low as possible so they can increase their profit margins, they think, why should we have a copy editor go over Tom's material? Because, you know, if he makes a mistake, he's going to be the one that looks bad anyway. So why should we protect Tom? So they save maybe $5,000 per book. Doing it, that turns into instant profit. Now, so they don't do a very good job on copy editing. They don't do a very good job in helping you bring a book along. There was a time when you could rely on a conventional book publishing editor to make you a best-selling author. Those times are gone. Those times are gone. The majority of the conventional book publishers, their top editors are going to be making $35,000 to $40,000. They'll be fresh out of college or fresh out of graduate school, don't have much experience. The best editors in the world oftentimes have been let go by conventional publishing houses because they don't want to spend the extra money to pay them. Another thing, they don't promote. If you're in this bottom 90%, they don't promote. They don't do anything to promote. In fact, they're probably looking for people like you. How many of you have paid for your own educations? How many of you have paid off loans? How many of you would consider yourself self-starters? Or you've started a business or helped start a business? They're looking for people exactly like you. So they want someone that is going to be a self-starter, has been responsible about being a self-starter, and successful at it, because they want you to go out and do all the work, and they don't do anything, they just derive the majority of the profit. You're probably saying, well, how much profit do they really get? If your book sells for $20, that's the cover price. You'll receive a 10% royalty rate. So you make how much per book?
$2.
$2.
Is that all?
Yes, it's a ripoff.
$24.95.
Now, how much do you think they make gross profit per book?
$18.
Not quite, but about
$16.50.
about after they paid all the different production costs and after they've given away commissions, about $9 per book. Now again, how many of you would like to earn a partial or full-time income through writing? How many of you would like to have your writing pay for itself at least? Okay. So you would look at this much like starting a business in some ways, wouldn't you? Like financing a career or an education, or fixing up your home so you could sell it for a higher price down the road. So you would take that same perspective to this. Now let me tell you this, in today's world with the conventional book publishers, if your first book doesn't sell, your second book, there will be no second book contract. So with that in mind, you know, gee, I want to write books maybe the rest of my life, I want to derive a profit, I want to at least make money from every book that I sell. So knowing that, you know that if that first book doesn't sell, there will be no second book contract. So you'll approach this like many of the other investments you've made in your life. You'll pour some cash into it. So let's say that you pour $20,000 of your hard-earned money into promoting your book because they won't. How many books do you have to sell then to make your 20 grand back?
10,000 books. You're only getting $2 a book.
Correct. How much money have you made?
Nothing.
How much have they made?
$9 a book.
Now,
That's sad.
$90,000 return on what equates to approximately between a $3,000 and $4,000 investment on their end. That's how much they make. So again, their whole principle is, gee, we'll let you borrow the good name of our publishing house if you do everything. and we'll just sit back and collect cash. Now, other drawbacks of conventional book publishers, and just to make sure we're on the same page, can you name some conventional book publishers? Random House? Yes, right. Okay, so you understand what a conventional book publishing house is. All right, other drawbacks. Timing. How long, on an average, does it take a conventional book publisher to get your book out onto the shelves after they've received your book in finished form?
2 years.
About 2. 2 years. Now, here's what they are doing.
You make us write it in 5 days, and it takes them 2 years to publish.
Yes, exactly.
Something wrong.
Now, here's what happens. Here's what happens, okay? They are trying to predict, not 2 years in advance, but somewhere between 2.5 to 3 years in advance, who the audience for your book is going to be. Because they don't buy your book and receive your book on the same day. So, again, using Tom as an analogy, if I was an editor, I'd say, geez, Tom, how long is it going to take you to write your book? How long will it take to get it in finished form? How long will it take me to set up all the different editorial programs and everything else I want to do? So I might be looking at 2.5 years. From now, I'm trying to predict who your audience is going to be. What do you think my chances of that are going to be? I mean, as fast as our world is moving. So their success ratio is obviously very, very poor. In most cases, if they publish 1,200 books a year and they get 2 on the bestseller list, that's a great year. So they failed 1,198 times. So they want, of course, Tom's book, or whatever book that makes a bestseller list, to be cash cows for them, to make up for all the books they lost money on.